Danganronpa 2x2. Danganronpa 2x4. Codename Kids Next Door. Can you guys believe that it's been 8 years since the last Danganronpa game? I mean, I guess it's a little shorter than that if you want to count Danganronpa S. It's a graphical upgrade of the original Danganronpa 2. Look at it. Look how good everything looks. Look at the class trial area. Look at the TV. It's no longer like an iPad anymore. Look at Nagito. Why does his hands move like that?
Great garbanzo beans!
It's so weird. But it's not just an updated version of Danganronpa 2. It's getting its whole own unique story that's going to be like as long as the original game. So it's a game inside a game. Danganronpa 2x2 is the sequel to Danganronpa 2, and 2x2 is a math problem, so that's technically Danganronpa 4. So you could it's also Danganronpa 4. Oh, Spike, you sneaky bastards. Obviously, this new story mode is what I'm most interested in. It's said to have like new killers, new culprits. It's basically going to be a completely new story. And it just like got me thinking, like, what is this new story going to be? What's going to be the thing that causes the divergence? How are they going to tell a new story? They can't possibly have it where they just keep certain things secrets again. Like, you're obviously going to be playing this after you played the main game. So certain twists and reveals, like how the nature of the island is actually inside a computer and Junko Enoshima hijacking it and all that stuff is already going to be known to the player. You can't have it where those are just revealed endgame. That'd be kind of stupid. So what is the story going to be? It's just racking my brain, and I want to share some ideas of how I think this might go down. First things first is that I think it's possible that there's going to be a new protagonist. I don't think this mode is going to be played by Hajime. I think it might be somebody else. And how they're going to give it to somebody else is that they're going to fucking kill Hajime. I think Hajime is going to die. I think he's going to be the first culprit. I mean, hey, if they want to make a playable character somebody else, what's the quickest way of doing that than just killing the main character? I also think that the culprit is ultimately going to be Nagito. I get the feeling that since this is a new scenario, they're going to want to, explore other characters that didn't quite get as much of a limelight in the original game. And I do admit, I think it would be a little bit lame if he just kind of hogged the spotlight again. I also think this would just be a way to make the story feel vastly different and make it go in a completely different direction. No risk of making the story feel too similar to Danganronpa 2 if the main character is dead, as well as the main sort of like foil to that character also gets killed within chapter 1, because I think he's going to be the culprit. I think Nagito is going to be the one to kill him. He was already pretty keen on killing someone back in the original game, so maybe this time he just successfully does it. But then that does beg the question, who would be his replacement? Who would be the protagonist that's not Hajime? I think there's 3 ultimate candidates that I think would make the most sense. I think either Chiaki, Tagami, or Mihiru. Mostly because I think these are the only 3 that have enough brain cells to actually be able to solve a murder. Chiaki was kind of your support throughout the whole game. She would help you out in a lot of areas and go like, oh, Hajime, the right direction, this way, fucking dumbass. And Mihiru and the imposters are just generally smart. And as much as I would love to have Mihiru as like the main protagonist because she's like my favorite, I do ultimately think that it's going to be given to Chiaki. She is a pretty important character and a fan favorite too, and I think she's got enough to her that she could fill a main character role. She's also, very plot important, as the end reveals. That's another thing that we know. She's actually not a real person, just kind of a creation of a person, an AI. Meanwhile, Maharu and the imposter are technically just 2 random students. Individually, they're not really that important. But if Chiaki is the main character, then who's going to be her foil? Every protagonist has a foil. Makoto had Byakuya, Shuichi had Kuichi, but who would be able to fill that role of Chiaki's foil? I'm gonna go completely batshit with this one. I think it's gonna be Junko Enoshima. This is my second big theory. I think something is gonna hijack like the realm or whatever, kind of similar to how Junko did it. It's gonna hijack it and kick Junko out and force her to participate in the killing game along with everyone else. That might seem like a bit of a random idea, but I think it would work mostly because I just think she works best as a foil to Chiaki. I would even say that kind of dynamic was already explored in the Danganronpa 3 anime. Like, she goes up against Junko and they kind of butt heads a little bit. So why not expand upon that in the actual game? And in the universe of Danganronpa 2 itself, they're both AI copies of real people. They can really give the sense of like, like the two sides of the same coin, They're both similar, but also completely different. Another reason why I think Junko's going to participate in the killing game is because, well, they're going to need to do something with her. They're not going to have it where the reveal that it's Junko Enoshima all along is saved at the end of the game, because, well, we already know that. And so I think they're going to reveal Junko right at the start. Not just Junko, but a lot of things, like how this whole world is a simulation. I think all that's going to be just given to the characters at the start, since we already know that of the last story. No reason to keep it secret. So it'd be a way to not be able to tread old ground while also still having Junko Enoshima be relevant. And then you'd be able to set up a new mystery of this new mysterious person that took over the thing. That in itself still could probably tread old ground, because then it'd just be the same, well, like, who the fuck is doing this? But I think it's a broad enough idea that you could definitely take it in a wildly different direction. What will that direction be? Honestly, I have no idea. It could get really batshit meta. I had an idea that there will be a reveal or something like that was actually Junko's sister, whose name that I can't remember right now. Hold on a second. Makuro. But how could that be? She's dead. Well, that would be the twist. The whole reason why there was an alternate scenario is because this isn't the original timeline following Danganronpa 1. It's a separate timeline following Danganronpa If. And that's like the kind of big reveal that it's actually a sequel to that story, not the original game. I was going to say if ultimately I was not going to like this idea because it would require you reading kind of supplementary material. Like Danganronpa's always had like books like Danganronpa 0 and stuff, but I wouldn't say that they're required readings to get the most out of the game. They just give a little more context behind certain things. But I completely misremembered that Danganronpa If is not included in the first game. It was an unlockable in Danganronpa 2. And I imagine it'll probably be an unlockable here in this game as well. So it's not completely unreasonable to think that someone might have read that before jumping into 2x2. Okay, so I don't have much going on the main plot. That's really all the predictions I have in terms of overall stuff. I think Chiaki's going to be the main protagonist. I think Hajime and Nagito are going to fucking die in the first chapter. And I think Junko is going to be forced to participate in the killing game. It'd be pretty cool to actually be able to, like, see Junko throughout the whole game rather than just being behind the scenes the whole time, revealed at the end. I know we get a bit of her in Danganronpa 3 anime, but fuck the Danganronpa 3 anime. So having her actually be in the game participating would be kind of cool. What about some of the smaller stuff? Who do I think is going to be the culprits of the other chapters? Who's going to kill who? Who's going to survive till the end? Well, I don't know about specifics like that. I mean, there's some obvious ones I could do. Like, honestly, I think Fuyuhiko is gonna die. I think he's gonna get killed, or he's gonna be the culprit, and Pekuyama is gonna be the one to survive. Like, that seems like a pretty obvious one that they do. Maybe a little too obvious, and maybe that's why they wouldn't do it, but, you know, I don't want them to just give up on an interesting story just because it's a little obvious. I'm trying to think of, like, other characters. I think Gundam is probably gonna survive till the end, honestly. It'd be very interesting to see other sides of these characters that, like, got to die early, so we didn't get to know much about them. I don't know, like Teru Teru. We know, like, he loves his mom and stuff like that, but that's really about it. I want to know other things about him, like why is he such a fucking sex pervert? What's his backstory on that? Make that character development. Oh, Sonya. I could totally see Sonya being the murderer for, like, Kazuichi or something. Although, once again, that might be a little too obvious, considering that this is supposed to be, like, a murder mystery. You can make the victim kind of obvious, but you can't really make the culprit obvious. That kind of defeats the whole point. But at the same time, these characters are so well established, it's kind of hard to see certain ones actually killing. I don't see Mihiru killing anyone. Oh, but the little demon brat baby, she's definitely going to be a killer. Definitely. Hold on, wait a second. I thought of something more specific that I'd like to see relating to Hyoko. Okay, I think she's going to be a killer, but I think they could do something cool with, like, her execution. Remember how Fuyuhiko kind of tried to run in to save Peko, but then, like, got his shit wrecked? What if they try to do something similar here, where Mikan tries to rescue Hyoko, but unlike Fuyuhiko, she actually succeeds here, but ends up dying in her place? I think that'd be really interesting. It'd be kind of cool to see how that would, like, throw a wrench into everything. It would also, I think, be more justification for why Junko would be here. How would Junko react to something like that? Would she care, or would she not give a shit? How would Monokuma react to that? How would Junko and Monokuma butt heads with each other? It probably pissed Junko off. She's like the ultimate analysis person, so she can see the tiny discrepancies of Monokuma and how he's not acting right and doing it wrong and stuff, and just pisses her off. To everyone else, Monokuma's just acting like Monokuma, but to her, she knows notices the tiny little differences that make him not exactly like how he should be. I think that'd just be a really fun idea that they could do. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I do want to see Junko actively participate. I'll be honest, I don't actually have much more to say about this. It is because we have so little information to go off of. Maybe it's a little too broad, so it's hard to kind of narrow down on any kind of specific predictions. But still, like, this was fun. This was definitely a fun thing to do. And it's nice to kind of put out a video in between like all the other stuff I'm working on right now. But yeah, oh man, this is super exciting. I can't wait for this game.